Welcome to History in Flames. Empires rise and fall. The past comes alive in fire and ash. Subscribe and relive the stories that shaped the world. In the winter of 1943, the war in Italy came to a halt. High above the Liri Valley, perched on a mountain like a crown of stone, stood the ancient abbey of Monte Cassino. Beneath it ran the Gustav Line, Germany's most formidable defensive barrier in southern Europe. If the Allies could not break it, Rome would remain out of reach, and Italy would become a bleeding stalemate. For months, the most powerful armies on Earth tried to break through. They failed. American troops attacked and were thrown back. British and Commonwealth units followed, stopped by artillery, machine guns, and terrain that favored the defender. Bombers reduced the abbey to rubble, believing it held German observers. It did not change the outcome. The mountain remained German, the line held. By early 1944, morale was collapsing. Casualties were mounting. Commanders were desperate. That was when France made a decision that history would later struggle to admit. France's solution did not come from Paris, London, or Washington. It came from its empire. They were called the Goumiers, irregular Moroccan infantry units drawn from the Atlas Mountains of North Africa. Many were Berber tribesmen. Most had grown up in harsh, mountainous terrain. They were expert climbers, night fighters, and scouts. They were not part of the polished image of a modern European army. They wore mixed uniforms, carried knives alongside rifles. They moved silently, often barefoot, across terrain others considered impassable. To Allied command, they were dangerous but useful. To German forces, they would become something worse. Monte Cassino was not just a battle. It was geography weaponized. Steep ridges, sheer cliffs, narrow goat paths, frozen rain, mud that swallowed vehicles whole. German paratroopers' elite troops had turned the mountains into a fortress. Machine gun nests were carved into rock. Artillery was pre-registered on every approach. Every road was a death trap. Traditional assaults failed because they relied on roads, armor, and daylight. The Goumiers did not. They climbed where maps said impassable. They moved at night. They carried supplies on their backs. They attacked from angles the Germans believed impossible. In May 1944, during Operation Diadem, the Goumiers were unleashed, while Allied forces attacked frontally. Moroccan units slipped into the Urunchi Mountains. Terrain German commanders believed was secure by nature alone. It was not. Over several nights, the Goumiers infiltrated deep behind German positions. They cut supply lines. They ambushed outposts, appeared suddenly on ridgelines the Germans thought unreachable. German defensive coherence collapsed. For the first time in months, the Gustav Line cracked, not from brute force, but from movement, adaptation, and terrain mastery. Within days, German units withdrew the road to Rome, opened the stalemate, ended the breakthrough at Monte Cassino was finally achieved. Not by tanks, not by bombers, but by colonial troops history would later push to the margins. When Rome fell in June 1944, the headlines celebrated Allied unity and European liberation. But the men who had made the breakthrough were quietly removed from the narrative. The Goumiers did not march prominently in victory parades. They were rotated out of the spotlight. Their role was downplayed in official histories. Why? Because their presence complicated the story. They were colonial soldiers. They were Muslim. They were North African. They did not fit the clean image of a liberated European Italy. And there was another reason, one more uncomfortable. After the battle, crimes were committed by some Goumier units against Italian civilians. These acts were real, documented, and horrific. They were also seized upon to justify erasing the Goumiers entirely, turning a complex history into silence. Instead of accountability and recognition, history chose omission. To remember Monte Cassino without the Goumiers is to misunderstand the battle entirely. The Gustav Line was not broken by technology alone. It was broken by soldiers who came from mountains like the ones they fought in, by men who had no stake in a European border, but paid in blood anyway. Their story forces an uncomfortable truth. World War II was not won by nations alone. It was won by empires and by the colonized people inside them. Monte Cassino stands today as a symbol of sacrifice. But whose sacrifice we remember has always been a choice. For decades, the men who truly broke Hitler's line were left out of the frame. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more. Share your thoughts below.